is it. Don't get scared now.
Biohazard 2.
I wanted to show off that one in particular because it was actually directed by George Romero, the director of Night of the Living Dead. Isn't that freaking cool? Anyway, good evening, people of the future. My name is Jaker Newman. I'm the game warden of these parts, and welcome to the Game Preserve. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to be back from a day trip me and my family were taking today, so I wanted to be sure to leave you guys something recorded just in case I didn't make it. If I did make it back in time, I am probably going to be in the comments talking to everyone, so feel free to say something if you're enjoying the show. But tonight we are playing one of the seminal classics of the survival horror genre, and that is Resident Evil 2. This game was released in 1998, 1997, I think it was. And it was, of course, the sequel to Resident Evil. When Resident Evil came out, it was a monster success. It sold like gangbusters, praised by critics, and a lot of people would even say that it invented a new genre. It was so successful, in fact, that just a month after the game had finished the production, they had moved into production on a second game. For the sequel, they got about half of the original staff in, plus a bunch of new employees to work on the game as well. But curiously, one programmer that was not among them was the game's original director, Shinji Mikami. Being a lover of his craft, Shinji Mikami wasn't too interested in doing a follow-up to Resident Evil. He wanted to work on other projects, and because of how successful Resident Evil was, in addition to his already stellar track record, he had garnered enough clout within the company to achieve that. So he stepped down into a producer role and handed directing duties off to Hideki Kamiya, who was basically his right-hand man on the first game, and let him direct the game, with the only caveat being that he had to be shown a build of the game at least once every month. So Hideki Kamiya and his crew got to work, and though Mikami felt that they were headed in the right direction with the game, as a sum of its parts kind of deal, he just didn't think the game was coming together in a manner that would have been of the quality that they were looking for. So after about 2/3 of the game had been completed, he went to his bosses and asked if they could scrap the current build and start from scratch. This time with him taking over director duties in order to ensure it was of the quality that Capcom wanted. If you're curious about that initial version, which has come to be known as Resident Evil 1.5, which is what I'm actually showing right here, fans have actually gotten hold of different versions of that game, varying qualities of completion, and I've been sort of working on it for the past couple of years in effort to piece together what's there into something coherent. So if you're curious about checking that out, you can probably find it on any site where you get ROMs from, and it'll run on a PlayStation emulator, so check that out if you're curious. As for the version of Resident Evil 2 that came out, the main thing that Shinji Mikami was concerned about when he was making the game is how do you scare someone twice? That's a problem that a lot of horror movies face. They do really well at the first film, but then the second film comes out and they try the same tricks again and it just becomes stale. So that was at the forefront of his mind when he took over production of the game. And I would say that he did very well, because when Resident Evil 2 came out, it was highly rated in its day, and to this day is one of the most popular games in the entire series. Of the classic series, this is easily my favorites, and I love the hell out of the remake too, which is to this day my benchmark for survival horror. And it was also really successful too. Like I think Resident Evil 2, the PlayStation version at least, still remains the single best-selling Resident Evil game on one console. The PlayStation version sold more than any version of Resident Evil 5, which overall is, I think, the best-selling game Capcom has ever produced. Period. So yeah, this game is really become the stuff of legends as of late. And as for my personal experience with it, when I first started seriously doing my blog back in the day, I did a review of the first Resident Evil for my first October. And that was back in the day when I was really unfamiliar with classic survival horror. And I was very harsh with the game because I hate the tank controls and I hated the fixed camera angles. So I was expecting to hate Resident Evil 2 about as much. And while I still didn't like the game per se, I definitely saw a lot of greatness with it, which is why I got really excited when I saw they were remaking the game. But having, in the years that passed since then, that was back in 2015, I think it was, I have played a lot of different survival horror games in my time. I played all the classics, Silent Hill 2, Fatal Frame, Parasite Eve, Dino Crisis, all the classic Resident Evil games. So I've got plenty more games like this under my belt now. And having gone back to the original Resident Evil as well as its remake last year, I found myself really enjoying it. So I was really excited to go back and play Resident Evil 2. And yeah, my taste have definitely changed because Resident Evil 2 is just absolutely stellar. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So I think the big question is, which version of the game am I going to be playing? Now, my original thought was to... Surprisingly, I have a lot of different versions of this game. I have a copy for the PlayStation, I have a copy for the Dreamcast, and I also have a copy for PC via GOG. And I was originally going to go with the GOG version of the game, but as I started playing, I realized that it didn't have the auto-aim, which is something that I feel is very important in a Resident Evil game. I was shocked that it didn't have it, so then I was going to go to the Dreamcast because, you know, the Dreamcast has very nice picture quality and has the updated graphics. But that doesn't have the auto-aim either, so I just said, screw it. I'm going to showcase the original PlayStation version. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Though, if you do want to play Resident Evil 2 legally, the only commercially available version of this game is on GOG.com, and I cannot fathom why. Yes, the remake is great, and I feel it is superior to the original game in every respect, but for game preservation's sake, that doesn't mean that you can just pretend like the original doesn't exist. There's still value in playing this version of the game. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, I got a modified PlayStation, courtesy of Software Seconds, if you want one of your own. Wish I could do something about that flickering blue down there. I wonder why it's doing that. 1 second. And it's still there. Got my colors messed up. What the heck? There we go. So yeah, pretty good title screen too. The Resident Evil logo is still just beautiful graphic design. Though I still hate that they have the trademark between Evil and the 2 there. That's really stupid. And the DualShock version, that's a version that I have on my PlayStation here. I kind of feel like they didn't need to include that in there. But this is the second print of the game. Like, it came out after they put out the DualShock, so... Yeah, you can use the analog sticks to play this, but it's better to use the D-pad anyway, so I think that was a silly thing to include. Okay, before we get started, I am going to go turn on the auto-aim, since that's the whole reason I'm playing this version of the game. play the original game. We're going to play it on normal. And I should note that I'm playing the Leon's disc. How Resident Evil 2 works in regards to its two-player campaign is the game came on 2 discs. So you have a disc where you play as Leon and a disc where you play as Claire. And what's neat about that is you play through for the first time as either Leon or Claire, and you'll play through it in one manner, but then when you get to the second playable character, things will change. What is going on here? I really hate it when games feel a need to do this. Anyway, what was I saying? So, Leon will go through it in one manner, and then you'll have a completely separate story as Claire. And then you can switch it up. If you played as Leon first and then played as Claire, you could then play as Claire, then play on Leon first, and see how things shape out that way. So, in essence, there are 4 ways you can play through this game, which, man, that's a lot of content for back in the day, and that's something that carried over into the remake, too. So, for this video, I'm going to play as Leon, and when I do the remake later next month, I'll play as Claire then.
Resident Evil 2.
Oh, man, I love that.
A bizarre incident occurred in the outskirts of an American suburb called Racoon City.
Bizarre, yeah.
It was later revealed that the terrible disaster had been caused by the T-virus, a mutagenic toxin created by the international enterprise Umbrella Incorporated for use in bioweapon experiments. The Racoon City Police Department's Special Stars Unit immediately began investigation in the affair. The case was apparently closed, thanks to the efforts of STARS members Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine. But the Umbrella Corporation's experiments were far from finished.
Yeah, so we actually have CGI cutscenes this time, as opposed to the original game, which used live action. The reason they used live action in the first game was because it was just cheaper to do than CGI. But after all the money they made with the first Resident Evil game, they had plenty of money to burn. So, yeah, we're good here. And of course, this is the first game in the series to introduce Leon Kennedy, who has become a big fan favorite in the series.
Guy's a maniac. Why'd he bite me?
Oh, that can't be good. Zombie driving a big rig. What could possibly go wrong?
Man, what a mess. What could have done this?
If I'm not mistaken, his lips aren't moving, are they?
What was that? What are these things? All right, that's far enough. Don't move! Don't move. No! What's up with that guy? That was a clean hit.
All things considered, the CGI here, though, could definitely be worse. I wouldn't say it's top of the line here. Then again, this is kind of par for the course for the PlayStation, I would say.
Head to the police station. It'll be a lot safer.
Right. That's Claire, for the record. That's the second playable character you can play as.
Buckle up.
Okay.
So the zombies are in Racoon City now. This can't be good.
I arrived in town, and the whole place went
Great.
insane.
The radio's out.
You're a cop, right?
Yeah, first day on the job. Great, huh? Name's Leon Kennedy. Nice to meet you.
Mine's Claire. Claire Redfield. I came to find my brother, Chris.
Yeah, it's Chris Redfield from the first game. Originally, she wasn't supposed to have any connection to Chris, but they decided to add that to provide some connection to the previous game.
Could you open the glove box?
Sure. There's a gun inside.
Better take it with you.
Always check the back seat, you amateurs. Nice.
You okay?
Still in one piece.
That maniac's gonna ram us! Run!
I've heard of being asleep at the wheel, but undead at the wheel? Damn.
Claire!
Leon!
I'm okay. Head to the station. I'll meet you there.
Okay.
Alright, it's time to enter the world of survival horror. Talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. Too many of them to fight right now, so I'm just gonna see if I can get around them. Ah! Off! Oh good, a gun store. Still got the classic door loading screens.
Freeze! Who are you? What are you doing here?
Hold your fire! I'm a human!
Sorry about that.
Did he just say sorry?
I thought
Is
you were
Kendo
one of
Canadian?
them.
What's going on in this town?
Hold on. I don't have a clue. By the time I noticed something was wrong, the entire city was infested with zombies.
I feel like if the zombie outbreak happened in New York, it would be a while before people noticed too. New Yorkers are probably used to seeing all kinds of wacky stuff, so a zombie outbreak wouldn't seem too out of the norm for them initially, I think. Alright, we're in a gun store, not many guns, but... Ah, crap! No, Kendo! Sorry, pal. Well, I can't help Kendo, but I'm sure he'd want me to have this ammo. Enjoy your meal, boys. I'm out of here. Okay, so we got some time to discuss the controls here. So Resident Evil still uses the tank controls, so forward and back moves you forward, and left and right rotates your character, and that all happens independently of the camera. And given that the game still uses the pre-rendered backgrounds, it fits camera angles, that is still for the best. And again, I still don't like these controls. I think they're very clunky, but having played so many of these games, I have gotten used to them, so I'm not going to complain too much about them. You can also run by holding that button. You aim your weapon with that and fire with the other. Okay, so I'm not going that way, so I guess we'll head this way. Ah, crap. Now I'm backed into a corner. More ammo there. Dead end, so looks like I'm gonna have to fight. Back up, Jack. Still not a big fan of the general combat here, because this is mostly what it boils down to, just retreating to what you think is a safe distance and firing until the enemy is dead. I think back to playing the remake for the first time. Just want to make sure the auto-aim is on. Yeah, it's still on. And everyone talking about how tough the zombies were if you didn't shoot them in the head. Even if you shot them in the head, it would take a few shots for them to go down. It feels kind of similar here. The zombies do take a good deal of punishment here. You know what, this whole first section is actually really brilliant because it really breaks you into how you're supposed to play Resident Evil. So the first part of the game, you got a bunch of zombies coming at you. I feel like if you're unaccustomed to survival horror games, your first instinct would be to shoot all the zombies you see. But there's too many of them, and you only had 18 rounds then. So you do that, and then you probably get killed. But then you die, you start over. And then you get to Kendo's shop. Then you get to this area where you can't get around the zombies, and now you use your ammo. It basically shows you very subtly that you need to save your ammo for situations where you can't evade the zombies. So that's really clever. I don't think the original Resident Evil was designed in that manner. You just kind of had to figure that out as you played the game. Though, because it didn't break you in, that might have led to a few deaths before you did. As for the overall presentation, again, I'm not fond of the method of superimposing 3D character models over pre-rendered backgrounds, but I will say it is a lot better here than it was in the original Resident Evil. For starters, the character models are far more detailed this time, so the level of detail is closer to what it was. The level of detail on the character models is closer to what was on the pre-rendered background, so they blend a little bit better. You still notice what they did because the character model still doesn't react to light sources, but it is still a marked improvement, I would say. Oh, crap. Definitely have a lot more zombies on screen, too. I'll take refuge on the bus. Ooh, more ammo. Alright, there's something in here. Ah, crap. Back off, ankle biter. Yeah, part of the reason I like having the auto-aim on, if you're unsure if there's something off screen that you can't see, you can just turn to the side and see if Leon points his gun towards it. And it's also beneficial for this type of game if you know something is walking towards you but you can't see it because of the camera angle. The auto aim will ensure that whatever you're hearing, you're shooting at. So I feel like that's something that should just be here by default. It actually wasn't in the original Resident Evil. They took it out to make the game harder. Like, Japanese companies were really concerned about video game rentals back in the day, taking away sales. So their method to combat that was to make games harder. But they gave you the option in Resident Evil 2, and they also put it in the original Resident Evil with the director's cut, which is what I played last year. Man, it makes me feel really bad to see a fire truck like that. I understand why people hate police sometimes, but, like, don't be mean to firefighters. Their only mission is to save people. Alright. Made it to the police station. We should be good and safe. And unfortunately, this place is chillingly empty. This can't be good. And dude, Resident Evil just has one hell of a soundtrack too. Just this track right here, it's so beautiful. Beautifully haunting.
Oh, man.
Should I make a joke about how the black guy always dies in a horror
You must be the
movie?
new guy. Leon.
Were there any black guys in the first Resident
Sorry,
Evil?
but it looks like your party
I don't think
has
so.
been canceled. What happened? About 2 months ago, there was this incident involving zombies in a mansion located in the outskirts of this city.
Neat.
Chris and the other STARS members discovered that Umbrella was behind everything. They risked their lives to reveal the truth, but no one believed them. Not long after that, all this started to happen. Hang in there. Don't worry about me. Just rescue the survivors in the other rooms. Here, take this key card. You should be able to unlock the doors in the hall with this. Now go. But just go.
Easy there, dude.
Fine, but I'm coming back for you. Just hold on.
You sure got up and locked that door fast, didn't he? Alright, so we gotta find a place to use this key card to open the doors. Ooh, ammo. I like how the ammo boxes stand out thanks to the red. With pre-rendered backgrounds like this, that's important to have. And of course, we got the typewriters. The ink ribbons, which are basically your saves, which are still limited. Resource management is still a huge part of this game, so don't be saving all half-cocked. You really gotta think about when is the best time to do that. Alright, let's go have a look. Though I have a feeling whatever's behind these doors isn't going to be good. People often debate which game is scarier, the events of Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2. I think they're both equally effective, but for different reasons. In Resident Evil, the horror of that game came from the fact that you were trapped in an isolated mansion and then realized that there are all kinds of crazy shit in there. In Resident Evil 2, it's more the fact that you're in a city that has basically fallen victim to a zombie apocalypse. You retreat to what should be a safe haven, only to find that the safe haven has already been compromised, and that city is slowly seeping in, so your safe haven is slowly disappearing. So I would still say that's very effective, and, you know, it's a really good scenario for a sequel. And just like in Resident Evil, a lot of the game... Bleh. A lot of the plot here is secondary information is told through files like this. This is basically telling you that there's a safe full of ammo somewhere in the building, and it gives you a combination here. But we probably aren't going to find that here, so... It's important to sift through all that stuff, because you never know when you're going to get an important piece of info. And we got something moving outside. And since that's just a glass window, I have a feeling it's not going to be something pleasant. Well, I'm not a big fan of the fixed camera angles. I will say that some of the angles here can be downright stylish. Yep, there's definitely something in here. Guy lost his head. I always heard the life of a police officer was stressful. What do we got in here? It's locked. I'm gonna walk to the side. Oh. Indeed. Easily the most iconic monster in the game, the famous Flicker. Yeah, that is disturbing. Just the bony frame, the exposed musculature, the brain, and of course that tongue and the hissing. Ugh. Ah, man, that is so cool. That is a great design. I love it. And this room right here is just a perfect representation of what I was talking about earlier. Like, you got that thing in here, and then you come here and find that all the windows are boarded up. Yeah, there was definitely a battle here, but that battle has already been lost, so... Yeah, you can definitely tell a lot of people ran out of here in a hurry. Yeah, that's unnerving, but here's something to get people who haven't played this started. Kind of obtuse, but I'm sure someone would have figured it out eventually. Alright, anything else of value in here? Doesn't look like it. I hear something. Basically talking about their response to the start of the zombie plague and how Chief Irons, who we later learn is corrupt, sort of caused issues. Also mentioned the liquor in there, which is where the name of that monster comes from. I always thought that was something fans came up with, but I was surprised to find that that's actually in the game. Oh, crap. Ah, crapola. Off! We're gonna clear out these zombies anyway. This is a high traffic area, so it's best I do that. I like how you know the zombies are dead when they start to bleed out like that. What am I doing on health? Still just fine. Looks like we got some health items over here. The herbs. Yeah, definitely want those. That I'm gonna mix them together. I got myself a healing item. I got ammo and I got health. What more could I need? About halfway through the stream. I wonder if people are actually going to be watching this tomorrow and talking in the comments like they do last time when I was playing Doom. So now I'll give you an idea of your objective, which is to find a way out through the sewer. Again, just directing the player through less conventional means. Well, there's a health item over here somewhere. There it is. Maybe not a health item, but some ammo. Never a jet to ammo in these games. Special kind of key is required. I think I know what kind of key they're talking about, too. Anything in here? Doesn't look like it, but you can develop film in there, which will give you more clues. No. In fact, I'm going to dump the ink ribbons because those aren't really useful in here. It's kind of tedious how you have to get out the ink ribbons and everything. Like, I've always said that one of the big issues with Resident Evil is that you're constantly having to backtrack to clear out stuff in your inventory, and I always feel like, instead of having stuff like the red jewel take up space, and, you know, the ink ribbons, all that should have its own separate inventory that is endless, but stuff like ammo, consumables, and weapons, you should have to manage those like you do in this game. But a lot of people would say, well, if you only had to do that, then it would be far too easy to manage everything. Well, there's a very simple solution to that, just next to a couple of the inventory slots. It's not that complicated. If it cut down on a lot of backtracking, too. Alright. Let's head upstairs, see what we got. Don't most people look up when they walk upstairs? Bummer. Alright, so we got ourselves a classic Resident Evil puzzle right here. Basically, you gotta push these statues against the wall. So, one of the things that Shinji Mikami didn't like about Hideki Kamiya's original build of Resident Evil 2 was that it was too combat-centric. Because it took place in a police station, he didn't think that it would be wise to put puzzles in there because he thought people would question that. But the problem was, when you were in an action, the game just wasn't any fun, and it also doesn't help that combat in Resident Evil isn't very good to begin with. So Shinji Mikami, or someone on the team, came up with the idea of making the police station be built from an old museum and have it be designed by the same guy who designed the Spencer Mansion, hence why there are all these puzzles here, which I think was a really cool idea, because it would also explain why the police station is so close to the Umbrella Lab at the end of the game. It also connects it better to the first game, too. Alright, got that next jewel. I'm going to take this back to the safe room, though. Which, again, I wouldn't have to do if I had a separate inventory for the, you know, item puzzles. Go back down the stairs, back into the room, clear out my inventory, and then get back on with it. Something that they didn't even fix in the modern games either. You still have to do all this in the remake as well. And dude, I love the music that plays when you go into the save rooms. Like, most of the atmosphere in Resident Evil is, of course, haunting, and rightfully so. So when you hear this calming track play when you get to a save room, it just naturally makes you sigh in relief, because it means that you can take a moment to catch your breath. Excellent piece of music, and I've been using that in my Gameology series on the survival horror genre too as background music, so yeah, check out those videos too. I've been getting some good comments on them, which I'm surprised at. I figured I would get a lot of pushback on my idea that, Wait, what did that say? A lot of pushback on the idea that fixed camera angles and tank controls aren't necessary for something to be a survival horror game. But evidently a lot of people understood what I said about that. Explained that it was more the solution the team came to for 3D gameplay that eventually became antiquated as people got used to the idea of, you know, controlling a camera to play a game. Ah, crap, there's something in here, too. Oh, crap, 2 of them. Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna back myself into a corner. Then when he gets close... Aha! The art of zombie dodging. What do we have here? Ah, this is Stars HQ. That's cool. Yeah, so this is something else that sort of speaks to the game, too. The scenario, I mean. Like, you're essentially here, returning to the home of the characters from the first game, whereas they went and found horror in the first game. Here, the horror has come to them, so... yeah. It's a little unnerving. Must have been Barry. And this is a message from Chris Renfield talking about how they decided to go investigate Umbrella headquarters in Paris. Which basically informs you that Chris and Jill aren't here and that Claire really shouldn't be here either. So that explains why they're not in the game. And I know where that goes. I didn't check out that statue when I came into the precinct, but that's where that goes.
Leon!
It's good to see you're still among the living. It looks like we're not gonna find your brother here after all. There's no reason for us to stay any longer than necessary. Let's split up, look for any survivors, and get out of here.
Right.
One last thing. Here's a radio. Take it. That way we can keep in touch if anything happens.
It's nice that they have the 2 characters interacting a little bit more here, though. This is really the only part of the game where they meet up, apart from the ends of the game. Collecting up more resources. Talking about characters, like, Resident Evil is a series that is known for all its beautiful women. And every guy who plays these games has their favorite Resident Evil babe, as they call them, and Claire has always been my personal favorite. I've always preferred cute versus sexy, and the fact that Claire is cute and also a badass biker babe, yeah, that's my kind of lady. Alright, so back out. Let's see if I can get around these zombies. Oh man, how many of you guys are there? Get off of me! Yeah, I actually took some big damage there. And now my back is to the wall. Okay, you guys are getting too close for comfort. Actually, I'm not going to use that shotgun yet. Yeah, I'm going to pop some health, though. You know, Claire's still in that room. You'd think when she heard gunfire, she would come out and help me. Is that all of them? I guess so. Yeah, when your health reaches a certain point, your character will start to limp slightly, and when you're at low health, it actually affects their movement speed too. So you want to be sure you keep that up as well, as to, you know, not find yourself be faced with, say, a liquor and not be able to get out of the way in a rapid manner. Speaking of the liquor, now that I got myself a good old-fashioned shotgun, I think I can safely take care of that thing now, so we're going to head back this way. Don't really have a choice, though. Like, just the way they lead you through the Raccoon City Police Department and later the sewers and the Umbrella Lab, it's just masterful. Some really good design at work here. Yeah, I'm gonna hang on to that medallion. Can I go through this door? No. Need a key. So yeah, we're gonna have to face the liquor. Also, for the record, if you're in a zombie apocalypse situation, if there are boards on the window, best to steer clear of them if you can, and you'll see why here. Yeah, want to steer clear of that. Get off! That is a narrow hallway. Alright. Let's get dangerous. I've been watching Darkwing Duck lately, what can I say? Yeah, how's that buckshot taste? Freaking nature. Yeah, that's why I didn't try to kill that liquor initially. I just figured it would be best to wait till I get the shotgun. Like, if you're playing a survival horror game like this, just by default, just try not to use your ammo unless you have no other option. I probably could have just ran around that liquor if I wanted to, too, but, you know, it's satisfying to take something out every once in a while. That'll be a high-traffic area for now, anyway. Oh, no, I do not want to use that. I'm gonna save that first aid spray, though. That is a hot commodity in a game like this. 10 more minutes left on the stream. I actually did start this at 8 o'clock, so... Okay, put the medallion there. I have a feeling this could make a good getting started video for a lot of people, too. So we got here. Spade by the looks of it. Alright, so let's go back the way we came, see if there are any doors I can open with that. Jackpot. Be on the lookout for ammo. And again, just more information on what's been going on in Racoon City. Ink ribbon, always good to get. Yeah, you probably don't see police evidence rooms like this either. I'd imagine a lot of case files these days are digitally formatted now. Alright, so there's something up there, so you walk over here. Get us a good push. And now we got this thing that we will not use until later. Nothing more in here, it seems. Alright, so I gotta head back to the inventory room to clear up some space in my inventory anyway, so we'll head that way. I'm starting to get some jitteriness. It's probably because of the HDMI out that I use for my PlayStation. I need to get a better one. Really need to invest in a FrameMeister or something, a proper upscaler. I've already been in there. Okay, good. Zombies aren't gonna come at me. Can't go that way either. Definitely gonna dump this thing. Gonna put up my ink ribbons as well. Then we'll head out. Head back upstairs, see what we can find. Guess it is good that I cleaned out them zombies. It's useless, I discard it. Nothing wrong with that. Oh boy, this is gonna get messy. Maybe I can just slip around. Nope. That's it. Bunch up, boys. Yeah! Yeah, so pro tip, if you hold the shotgun, aim up, and wait for the zombies to get close, you can just blow their heads off, and boy is that satisfying, I love it. People always say that it's important to make the combat in a horror game unsatisfying as a means to discourage players from engaging in it, but I completely disagree. I think it's more fun, for starters, if the combat is enjoyable. But it's also good for replay value too, because when you get into the New Game Plus mode and you got all the crazy weapons, it's cathartic to just be able to blow away all the enemies that you were terrified of just moments ago. Okay, I couldn't see that ammo box there, so sometimes you kind of have to guess. But, you know, that's still a good example because my eye is drawn to this naturally, so it does make sense that that's there. It's not something you're not going to find. Is there anything in here? Another puzzle in here. Climb the stairs here. And people who've only played the remake have probably been watching this game and talking about how close this looks to the remake. And yeah, the design of the RAPD was just really good. That's why they used so much of it in that game. It's basically telling you the solution to the problem. You walk over here, push this button. To the right. To the right again. The bishop plug. Now, what is the bishop plug? What significance does that hold? Well, you guys are going to have to figure that out on your own because we're at the end of our hours, so we're going to go ahead and call it. So, Resident Evil 2, the original, actually holds up pretty damn well. Now, that's not to say that the game hasn't aged in some respects. The presentation of the story, it's still a little on the hokey side, mostly due to the voice acting, but it is a marked improvement over the first game in that regard. The graphics, the method of pre-rendered backgrounds, superimposed character models, still a little funky, but, you know, they are getting better at it, and a couple more games that would have perfected it. And the controls are still really clunky, and the combat's still a little shallow, but everything else in the game is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, just the sense of horror you get from this one, the survival aspects are beautifully done, like managing your resources, picking and choosing your battles, all that good stuff. It is a masterclass in of its own, and with the 4 different playthroughs that you can play through here, it's very hard not to recommend the original Resident Evil. This is still an excellent game on all fronts. There are plenty of ways you can play this. The only commercially available way is, you know, on GOG with that version of the game that for some reason lacks auto aim. But you also have the Dreamcast version. You got the original PlayStation. I'm sure there's another PC version I'm forgetting. It's also on the GameCube. That's an interesting one. And there's even a version of the game on the N64, if you can believe it or not. So, yeah, Resident Evil 2 is everywhere, so it shouldn't be too hard for you to find a good version of this game to play. But anyway, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. If you enjoyed tonight's content, please be sure to like and subscribe. I do these videos every Saturday, typically at 8 o'clock. If I'm not able to be at the house at 8 o'clock, I will always leave a recording like I'm doing tonight for you guys, because I don't want to leave you guys without any video to watch for that Saturday. I want to be consistent. If there's a game that you would like me to play and analyze like I did here tonight, please feel free to leave it in the comments. And I would like to hear your thoughts on Resident Evil 2 as well. So type it in the comments, but again, please be civil. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. Hope you enjoyed tonight's video, and have a good week.